silence your phones.
Yeah, sorry about that.
You're good. I'll just give it a few more minutes to see if anybody else calls in, and then we'll get started.
I think we're safe now.
If you don't mind. Thank you. Did everybody get a chance to sign in? No rush. I just didn't know if you wanted us to wait.
Trying to kind of get folks. We got a few stragglers out there. I'll make sure they all know. Come on.
All right.
We're gonna get this started. These folks, nice folks, are from HQ Partners. They're the people we've contracted to help us with this plan. They're gonna do their presentation, and the questions, if you have any, just come to us after the meeting. We'll try to answer them. Okay?
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yes, like John said, my name's Kristen Cole. I have my colleague here with me, Peyton Morris. We're both with H2O Partners, which is a consulting firm helping facilitate this hazard mitigation planning process for Hill County. So tonight, we're really going to do a broad overview of this process. So we're going to talk about what is hazard mitigation, the purpose and benefits of this plan, how you can support the public engagement part of this planning process, and like Tom mentioned, if you have any questions, just come up to us after and we can try to help you out. So first, what is hazard mitigation? Textbook definition is it's any long-term sustainable action that we would implement now to reduce future hazard risk. So think of it like an investment. We're looking at things like drainages and culvert systems to reduce flooding, or even things like prescribed fires, which is a controlled burn to limit the fuel available to wildfires to prevent either wildfires from happening in the first place or to reduce the rate of spread when one does happen. So what is the purpose of hazard mitigation planning? The main thing is we're trying to build community resilience. So that just means we are improving the community's ability to bounce back after a disaster happens. And so this plan really aims to identify community risk and specific projects that will prevent or reduce fatalities or injuries from natural hazards, reduce the economic impacts and disruption from disasters, and lessen business interruption. Again, we want to ensure that the community just is able to operate or get back to a normal or better level of operation when a disaster does happen. So what is a hazard mitigation plan? It's really meant to be a guiding document to help guide community decision making over the next 5 years. And so we look at specific natural hazards that have the ability to impact the Hill County planning area, and we outline what those potential impacts may be. So some of the things that we look at are dam failure, drought, extreme heat, flood, hail, lightning, thunderstorm wind, tornado, wildfire, winter storm, and hazardous materials. This is our planning process. This process ensures that we meet all of the FEMA guidelines as we go through. It's a 4-phase process. Phase 1 was about getting all the right people in the room together, make sure we're engaging all of our stakeholders. We are in phase 2 right now, which is our risk and capability phase. So we are looking at what does Hill County already have in place to mitigate disasters, identify any potential gaps, and also look at risk. So again, we're going through each of those hazards. We're looking at what is their impact to people and structures within the county. Phase 3 will be coming in a few months, and that's going to be developing the mitigation strategy. That's really the heart of the plan. Your community leaders come up with a list of mitigation projects, so that could be things like you saw in those photos, maybe adding in a new culvert system to divert flood waters. They come up with specific actions that they would ideally like to see implemented in the future, but at least things that they can try and seek grant funding for as grant funding opportunities become available. And phase 4 is the adoption and implementation part of the plan. So after it's been approved by the state of Texas and FEMA, then they can actually adopt it, and it's got a 5-year life cycle, so they help just maintain that over the next 5 years. Again, as I mentioned, so these plans do have to be re-updated every 5 years, so we're going through that update now. We just kind of have to look back on the past 5 years events and re-strategize on lessons learned. These documents can be really long and complex, so just know that your local officials are putting in a lot of work to make sure that this plan accurately represents your community. So they're attending all of the planning team meetings. We just had one earlier today. They're providing an assessment on all their capabilities. Again, what do they already have in place? Identifying mitigation goals and strategies. Again, coming up with very specific actions that they would like to see done in the community. And they support public engagement, which is what we're doing here tonight. These are some of the mitigation goals outlined in the plan. These are just the broad overarching statements of what we would ideally like to achieve with this planning process and the mitigation strategies identified in them. So it's protecting public health and safety, building local support and capacity for hazard mitigation, increasing public understanding for hazard mitigation, protecting not only our current infrastructure, but looking towards the future and future development patterns and thinking how can we protect those new properties. We want to maximize the resources for investing in hazard mitigation. Again, just thinking along the vein of different grant opportunities that may be out there. We want to promote sustainable growth through nature-based mitigation solutions. Nature-based solutions or mitigation strategies are things that you do to enhance your environment. So think of things like rain gardens to soak up flood water, or tree canopies to reduce extreme heat impacts, or even planting drought-tolerant plantings so you have less damages when a drought does occur. We also want to promote equity and protect vulnerable populations and underserved communities through hazard mitigation activities. So part of our analysis, like I mentioned earlier, we look at both structures and people in terms of who or what may be impacted, and there's an emphasis on vulnerable populations in the community. So maybe people living in poverty, older adults, children, people with disabilities. We really narrow in again on who may be impacted and what we can do to lessen those impacts. Again, what's the purpose? Like I've been talking about this whole time, we really want to identify those mitigation solutions. I like to tell people to think about mitigation as an investment. So what can we do now to protect us in the future? So we want to evaluate our current risks, kind of what we're doing with the plan, so again, it can inform those future decision making. We also want to consider a broad range of actions, so it not only needs to be feasible, but also cost-effective for the community. And again, it's really the foundation for risk-based mitigation investing. So it's just a really good opportunity to have everyone in the room and align their priorities and talk about their risks and talk about their future goals and kind of just get on the same page in terms of how we want to move forward. And kind of the big ticket item here is grant eligibility. So once this plan is approved by FEMA and adopted by all of the communities, they can maintain their eligibility for certain grant programs under FEMA's Hazard Mitigation Assistance Program. These grants award billions of dollars every year for the development of mitigation actions that are specifically identified in that plan. These are some previous projects that have been funded in the community through mitigation funding because of the plan that's already in place, and so by updating it, we're just going to maintain our eligibility to continue doing these things. But in 2020, City of Bynum had implemented a warning system project. In 2024, Carl's Corner had a generator project, and the City of Covington also had a generator project in July of 2024. So just to give you a better idea again of what mitigation might look like and some of the things that have already been done in the community and can continue to be done with this plan. So there's a few ways you all can participate in this process. First thing is taking the survey. I don't know if you've already come across that, but I'll have a QR code here for you in a minute. The survey is a really good way to get some input on your specific concerns. There's also a part at the end of the survey where we ask what kind of projects you would like to see implemented in the community, so you can identify specific mitigation projects. In the next meeting we have with county and city officials, we'll actually print out each individual response from you all and give it to them, and that will kind of serve as a starting point for when they develop their action list. So again, that survey specifically is just a really good way to get your thoughts and ideas out in front of your community leaders. You can also attend a meeting like this one, so you are already participating by doing that. We have our third public meeting on September 11th, and then review the draft plan. So once this draft plan is ready towards the end of the year, it will be posted online for about 2 weeks. There will be a review period. You all can actually go and read through, look at our risk analysis, look at what projects have been identified, and leave comments for us. And then we will actually implement any recommended changes or comments there before it goes to FEMA for final approval. This is our timeline. So we kicked it off in June. We have our second public meeting today. Our third public meeting will be in September. The draft will be going to the state in January. And then, in February, that draft plan will be available for you all to look at and comment on. And then we have a few weeks to integrate that before it goes to FEMA afterwards. So, again, just a really high-level overview, but just want to narrow in on the fact that this is a really good opportunity to identify future mitigation projects, especially as funding becomes available over time. To really take the time to do that survey, share it with your friends, your families, and your neighbors. And I will be around for a few minutes longer. If anyone has questions, feel free to come up to me. But otherwise, we all thank you for coming today.
You want to do the next slide, QR code?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
And also, if you have not signed in, there's sign-in sheets over here.
So I'll leave this up here for a minute, and then I'll go back to the contact page too, so you can reach out to me as well if you'd like. But otherwise, come up to us at the end if you have any questions. Thank you.
Was meeting number 1 the same as this one?
Yes.
I was at the Bynum Volunteer Fire Department meeting last night. They had no clue that this was even happening.
It's been posted on, most every city has to post it. It's been posted on all of our websites.
I know that City of Whitney has not posted this.
Yeah.
So
We have proof. Okay. We have proof
Yeah.
of posting.
Yeah, I mean, I know about it because I saw it on the Hill County Emergency Management Facebook page. But I would encourage y'all to follow up with your partners and make sure that they're aware that these are even happening.
Just so you know, I'm with ESD1. We're going to have our meeting next Thursday. So I'm actually going to pass the word about this. I know a lot of people are extremely busy, firefighters, middle of the night and stuff. So I'm going to take notes and also ask the different things. I always poll the different departments. So I'm going to help represent if they're not able to make it, but
Yeah.
they're more than welcome to come if they want to.
I mean, I'm on City Council for Whitney, and I had no idea until I saw it on the Facebook page.
As well as the public bulletin, City of Whitney.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say it was on the city's website and the public bulletin board?
Yes.
On the.
Didn't see it.
We're doing everything we can to get the word out. We want everybody's participation in trying to get the information so that we can put together a complex plan. Feel free to put the word out. I mean, the best way is to do the public survey. That way your voice gets heard.
I think you had a question.
Yeah, so you mentioned there was a gap analysis, right? So how do we know what the gaps are? Because it seems like it's quite a bit of cities, right? So you also gave a list of all the hazards. So how do we know what hazards apply to where, right? And
It doesn't look at gaps necessarily in terms of the hazards specifically, but more in terms of what the communities already have in place to deal with them. And so the best way to kind of look at that for yourself, one, we conduct a capability analysis with them. So we started that a few months ago. That will be in the full draft once it comes out. So you can see the capability analysis that each city or community filled out. And then they kind of address those in the action section as well. So you'll see a capability section in the full plan, and then you'll see an action section in the full plan too. So you can see what they have and then what they're trying to fill in for the future.
okay. So let's say like hazardous material. how do we know, like, when we take the survey and we have some input, how do we know what type of input is valuable, right?
The questions are leading, so
Yeah.
the questions, look, some of them are multiple choice, some of them are open-ended. It's pretty straightforward. It's just your
I was
personal
just gonna
opinion
show
on
you, his little
ranking
berry,
what
but it is on
is,
there, I had to go
you know, in your opinion,
here,
most hazardous, you know,
community,
high, medium, low.
and then to
It'll
news.
take about 7 to 10 minutes to
It's under
complete,
news,
but it
under
prompts you through, and at the end, it asks you, like she said, that open-ended question about mitigation action specifically. That's where you can put your input as well.
And anything that you find valuable is what we want to know. So it's not necessarily in terms of what we
Yes, ma'am.
think you should say, but what you feel, just is important to call out in that survey. Whether it's based on your experiences living there, or certain concerns, or ideas you'd like to see for the future.
And we're not asking you to be specific, or this is more of an overlook, looking down. And so what the public feels would be something that needs to be our attention. And we've already addressed the fact that hazard materials are one of our concerns for ongoing mitigation. So as far as what hazardous materials, some of that information is not accessible to the public. So it will not be out there for everybody to read. But we realize it is a contributing factor to the hazard mitigation plan that we address as best we can in the plan.
Yeah, that's part of my concern, right? There's not a lot of data available to know certain things, right? So,
Well, some things we can't share,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly. I mean, we're mandated that some things that come through here, it's not for, I mean, it'd be a great target for terrorists if they knew a certain product was coming through. So, we just try to have things in place where if something bad happens, we can take care of it.
But ideally, the plan at the end will give you a better, just understanding of what the overall work is for the community too. But I do think you'll find it, informationally valuable in that way.
so like, what's the scope of the plan we're trying to submit, right? Cause you said billions of dollars in funding overall, but what's our target?
I can't speak for the county specifically, but.
Well, I know Hillsboro's got a grant in on their, in hazard mitigation in the water. Isn't that what for,
I
I
don't
mean, it's
wanna
like
miss-
$20 million. And see, no city can get a federally funded grant unless this plan's
Yeah,
in place.
right.
So, I believe, I know Hillsboro, and I believe Hubbard.
Well, I believe even Whitney has a grant for something that has to deal with
Yeah.
hazard mitigation plan as well.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of the local jurisdictions at some point will be applying for some kind of grant when it comes available.
I just noticed, like, for the generators and the, alarm system, you know, that's not a high cost, right? So, I was just wondering what's
It's a high cost for these small communities.
Right,
You know.
but I'm saying in terms of the overall, you know, budget.
That's something we're applying for right now as a generator. We're applying for a large enough generator to be able to power a water pump at any of the water stations in the county. And, I mean, that generator itself is around $130,000. So without this plan, that money would come directly out of the local taxpayers' money. But with this plan, I believe it's a 25% cost share. You know, we're only having to pay 25% of that $120,000, and then the federal government picks up the rest of it. Which I know is still taxpayer money, but it's not out of what's allocated to Hill County.
So in the end, whatever makes it to the final plan and gets approved by the state, that's what we're gonna get the funding for.
If it gets awarded.
Right.
So there's
Yeah.
a, extensive application process, it's not guaranteed, and it's as it
Oh.
becomes available. So sometimes
So-
funding only becomes available after there's been a disaster declaration.
So even after it gets approved, it doesn't mean it gets
No,
granted.
it does not
Exactly,
guarantee
exactly.
anything. It
So-
just opens the door that we can apply.
It just allows you the opportunity.
Exactly.
This is a
One thing that
prerequisite.
happens a lot, in every disaster, there's unspent funds. And they usually make those funds available at the end for hazard mitigation projects. For example, if we have a road that constantly gets blown out, the culverts get washed out, and there's hazard mitigation money left, we can apply for funds to replace that culvert with a bridge. So it's no longer gonna be an issue going forward. But it's competitive. I mean, when the money's out there, everybody's applying for it. So it's just a matter of putting together a good grant request and pushing it through and see if you don't get awarded.
Yeah, some grants are available statewide, so Hill County will be competing with every other county in the state, and then other ones are available nationwide, so they're competing with every single state and every single county. Not guaranteed, but this just ensures that they're at least able to apply for it.
So is this just for cities as far as the grants, or does it also apply to entities like fire departments or what?
So this is specific to the county and then the 14 cities that are participating in the planning process.
So this does include roads?
No, it does not include roads, no, sir.
You said bridges.
Well, again, and I'm going back to a specific case scenario in Larry Crumpton's precinct. He had one large, I think it was 2 or either 3 big, huge culverts that were constantly getting blown out. Every time we'd have a big rain, they would be blown out. And when we'd be under disaster, FEMA would come in here and spend more money trying to repair the damage. Well, we applied for a hazard mitigation to build a bridge there so that it couldn't get washed away.
Right.
So in that sense, is it part of the road? Yes, you can apply hazard mitigation to roads. But the focus of this plan is not on trying to make our roads and stuff better in the county. It's more about disasters, you know, from flooding or whatever it might, however that might apply. So it is a very broad document. And we're not, there's no way we could write anything so specific that would cover everything we might come in contact with.
Right.
So we're trying to create a big umbrella where we can stuff everything under the umbrella so that when a grant availability comes open, we can apply for that and try to get that mitigation action.
I have a question following his.
Yes, ma'am.
I live on 4251 by Loveview Baptist Church, and it's a completely dirt road. Up until last year, it was all road based. This whole entire time that we've had our house out there. I've been told by a firefighter and a police officer who live in the area that the solar company is now responsible for maintaining the road. My concern is evacuation routes in times of emergency, whether it's a train derailment with hazardous waste, or if there's a wildfire that went out of control. Leading up to the 4th of July with all of the rain that we had, they were dumping truckload after truckload of just fresh soil. It was comparable to manure. I mean, it was thick, and it was about 8 inches deep. Nobody could get down the road. I couldn't leave my house.
Unless you had 4-wheel drive.
Or a tractor. When we were finally able to leave after the rain let up, when we came back, they had dumped even more dirt while it had been raining. I'm from Michigan. I can drive through the snow, I can drive on the ice. I could not drive in this mud. I was sliding parallel to the road, leaning over towards the creek, which doesn't have a guardrail, and it's only 1 lane passable because it's eroding because of the weight of these trucks. With something like that, being that it's our only way out of the area as an evacuation route, would something like that be considered to either require them to keep this road at a county standard, like the road base that we had, or would that be something that qualifies for this?
My question would be, is it the solar company that's dumping this dirt?
Yes.
Yes, they're supposed to be in charge of a specific length of the road from 2959 all the way to
44.
and they're destroying the rest of the roads, but they're not repairing those roads. And the amount of dirt that they are throwing, you don't have 4-wheel drive or a tractor, something that can get traction in that, you can't use those roads.
And that's the problem. If there is a bona fide real emergency, like a train derailment or a
Well, there's
wildfire.
no train tracks out
and
there.
there is on 81.
There.
We're very close to 81. That's where the train runs through, is on 81.
But you're looking at wildfires. You're looking
exactly.
You're looking at things that we don't have. There are limited ways out of that area, and last year, the year before last, we had the road down 4307 that blew out, and literally, I have pictures of it. The gap in the road was over 10 feet wide, and there, literally, I stayed there until somebody came to mark it as an area to be careful, because if anybody had come around that corner at any speed, they would have landed right face down in there and been killed.
So how do we evacuate if we experience something like this?
Again, all of this is questions that don't apply to this.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't wanna just spend a lot of time trying to answer questions. I need to get back with some specific people, our county attorney, our county judge. Because when these people come into the county, they sign a contract to maintain the road. And if you go to pretty much any other of the solar farms that I know about in the various, I mean, they're everywhere now, but they do a pretty good job of maintaining the road, putting down the right stuff. And I mean, it's dirt, it's dusty, it's become, I know it's not dusty right now, but they do a good job. So if they're not putting the right material down, that is something that we can go back and address from the county level because they don't want to make us mad. They want to work with us. So they'll do what they need to do. We just need to take a look at it and see what we can do. But this is not really something that this particular plan is going to address because that's regular maintenance. This is disaster here.
Okay,
Now,
but
there's
if
a
we're
difference.
talking about flooding, and our creeks are flooding so much that they're washing out our roads, then what? Because that
fix-
cuts
then
off
we-
that landlocks us, and then what do we do?
Well, see, the problem there is, do you Band-Aid it or do you fix it? If it's flooding, that means that we've got an issue with water flow.
We absolutely do have
Okay, so
an issue with
then we
water.
might go after hazard mitigation money to fix the water flow issue. And then that'll in turn fix the road issue. But you don't fix the road without fixing the problem, or you're just constantly going back time and time and time again, doing the same repairs over and over again. So where the hazard mitigation kicks in is we want to fix the problem so that we can fix the issue. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Anything else?
I've got just a quick, they put, I don't know who did it, I don't know if it was a county or what, but they put, like,
8-inch rocks.
yeah, man, come on. And now, I know there's a,
That has
I don't know,
nothing to
probably
do
10
with
foot, but I mean, they're gonna tear up our vehicles and everything else out there. I don't know who, I guess, kind of call the county commissioner, I guess. And
That's who's responsible.
I
think that's
get him on the
Mark
phone.
Langford.
We tried to get him on the phone.
After we get done, I'll talk to you, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
I'm Russell, I'm the county judge.
Okay.
And I'd love to hear it.
I wasn't trying to call you out.
No. I was hiding in the corner, but yes, I would love to talk to you about
That'd be
it.
awesome.
And you as well, ma'am. Yeah.
And to kind of reinforce what they're talking about, on the survey, if you click yes on have you ever experienced or been impacted by a disaster, there's a place to type in your situation and your details. So have everybody go to the survey and fill it out, click yes, and add all those details about your current situation.
Exactly. The survey is a really good part or place to go and just voice your concerns. And like I said, the next meeting we have with them, we're printing out each individual response and giving it to them. So doing it now is just a really good opportunity to get it in front of them before that next meeting.
And if you're on social media, please share it. We've shared it as far and wide as we can, but not everyone is on social media.
Right.
Yeah, so as many people as you can. We had it's kind of like voter turnout. We had a record of 50 not long ago, and we're trying to push that up. So if you can share it and get it out there, we would love the participation. We want to hear everybody's voice. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
Okay, guys, go fill out the survey.
Yes, sir.